Hi, this is Belinda, Aussie Stitcher, coming to you on this 3rd of October 2025. I hope everyone is going well. I'm coming in for a quickish update. I did not stitch a lot in the month of September. I kind of hit a wall where I was coming home exhausted. Not doing anything more than I normally was, but just coming home tired. And then weekends were really busy trying to do housework and this gardening thing that people enjoy that I don't. And I was hitting a wall and I wasn't stitching at night. So I don't have a lot to show, but I will show what I have done. Yeah, and we'll go from there. Doing a little bit differently, I'm going to give a life update at the end. I usually do it at the beginning because it's usually fresh in my mind what I want to do, but I'm going to try and do it at the end and see how that goes. Because not everyone is interested and not everyone wants to fast forward and the 5 minutes, and maybe I have more than 5 minutes, but I try to keep it to 5 minutes so people are not like, oh my God, this woman never shut up. So let's get into it. I got my diary. I did 3,703 stitches. I didn't even break 2,000 on Outback Storm, but that's okay. I am happy with what I did because where I was. I've actually taken 2 weeks off work to finish the garden, and I'll give that in a life update, and organise my house coming into harvest. So if you're very new here, we own a farm and I work full-time in our local IGA farm. Try and find a good spot for that. Right. So what are we stitched on? I need coffee. So I have whips that I work on every month. I have whips that I work on once. I have 12 whips that I work on once for a month, and then it gets put away. And then I have 4 whips that I work on a 3-monthly rotation. So in this bag is my 3-monthly rotation for the last 3 months, and that is March Fairy by Mirabilia. 2018 design. That's probably about the time I started this, actually. Maybe. I have my little card in here. I have these little cards that I get that StitchNButton. When you buy a bag, she puts it in your bag, and it's just a really good little info of everything that you can write: designer name, designer, fabric, start date, and if you ever finish it, the finish date. So it's Mystery Fabric by Cascade, and I started this on the 27th of March 2019, which is on my daughter's birthday. And one of these days I'm going to remember my foam board, which I haven't used in like a year. So I did 820 stitches. This only got 2 months worth of work. But I'm happy that I got touched. I got hat twice. And here we are. That's pretty good true to fabric. And I worked down here. Getting into the colours. I stitch chronic as I go. I do not do beads. So this is for my daughter, whose favourite colour is purple, and she was devastated that her birthstone does not have purple, so we chose purple fabric. That actually works better. So just lots of taking a colour, stitching it down. I think this is near the bottom of the page, of the pattern. So I did find it hard when I first brought it out to get back into it. I think it's stitching smaller than a 32 count, which is going to make beading just divine, and it has a lot of beads. But this is the bead pack, and it's not like a fault of Colour Cascades. When you dye fabric, it can shrink, and it's not massively different, but it's different enough that sometimes on dark fabric trying to find holes, it can be a bit difficult. It is probably like more like a 34 count, but the colour is amazing. The coverage is brilliant. Beading is going to be interesting, which is why now I stitch mainly, if it looks like it has a lot of beads, I stitch on a 28 count, because that can shrink in dyeing as well. So it's not a true 28 count, not all fabrics, but a fair amount of them. So that gives me that wiggle room of when beading, having extra space. But anyway, that is March Fairy. Then I pulled out my once a month, I should say this bag is from Australia. On an Etsy, I don't know if she's still available, but it's Stitch and Needs. And I found this on Etsy, and it is just beautiful. Super thick and lined. Not that you can really tell, but yeah. If you're in Australia and you're wanting to buy in Australia, check her out, see if she's still around. Amazing bags. In this bag was my once a month, one of the 12 monthly whips that I do just for 1 month. And this month pull was The Time Traveller by Joan Elliott. I love this whip. I think I could easily just go, this is going to be my go-to finish, but I have all the Joan Elliott whips that need to be stitched first. And this is in an amazing bag by, she doesn't do bags anymore. So, but it's one of my favorites. And because I ordered through Joan Elliott website, when you order through Joan Elliott website, she sends like this little thank you. Now this is stitched on 32 count Fall Fairy by Colour Cascades, and I started this a very long time ago, 17th of the 10th 2017. I actually thought I started this in like the last 4 years. Anyway, luckily I'm writing these things down. And I did a very small 554 stitches. But oh, that is true fabric. That's what it looks like. And yeah, I just did in here. I just worked. I had some of this done and then I just worked. But yeah, I love this design, and I just love how that umbrella turned out. It was the biggest pain in the ass to stitch, but the effect is amazing. I love it. And I started this. This came out just as Doctor Who was releasing its female Doctor, so Jodie Whittaker, I think her last name is. And even though she's not in traditional Doctor Who colours, which some people have converted, I don't do conversions. If you've been around any time, I've tried conversions. It doesn't work with my brain. But I loved how it had the blue in it anyway, the suitcase and the clock. So yeah, to me it's like a Doctor Who piece that isn't a Doctor Who piece. Sorry guys, I am needing coffee this morning. Right, and then I picked up This Will Do Nicely, and this is a StitchNButton bag. Love her bags. I love all my bags, but I really love her bags. And as I said, when she sends a bag, she sends those little cards in it. Like this one came in this one, and just so that you can keep information. So this is This Will Do Nicely by Glendon Place. This one is, I'm stitching every month, and it's a new kind of like category. I said that wrong, and I knew I was going to say it wrong. Theme. We'll go with that because I can pronounce that today. Where I do 300 stitches-ish, like a sitting to 2 sittings, and that's my dedication to this. I started this in February of this year when my oldest daughter Sophie went to Scotland. She's still over there. She's actually, her and her bestie are on the island of Skye at the moment, having a grand old time. I will put a picture here of a photo that she took on the mainland of Scotland. Look, I think this is what she said. On the mainland of Scotland, looking over into a castle on Skye. But it could have been a castle on the mainland near Skye, and I misheard her. So, and this is done in dinky dye threads that all have Australian, oh not all of them, but most of them have Australian type names. But yeah, beautiful silks. And I got 338 stitches. And basically, I finished up a leaf. So this is on 28 count picture this plus fog. And that's it at the bottom of the page. And I'll bring it in. And I finished off this leaf. That is just one colour. The threads are highly variegated. These are like one colour of purple, but you know, still beautiful and variegated. And this will have beads in it as well as the wording, which is in DMC. I think what I'm going to do, this is in a page break between this page and this page, and I'm going to leave that to last until I get the wording in so I can get it in the right spot without too much counting and making a massive mistake, because it kind of needs to be centered. And then, now this one I worked on a couple of, like the last day of September and the first day of October. So in September I did 364 stitches, and then in October I finished off my little, my little section and did another 352. But hopefully this gets brought out again. This is in a StitchNButton bag. And 3 thing sampler. I am working on this every month until I finish. This is on either a 28 or a 32 count, no, 32 or a 36 count fabric, and it's just a neutral. So that is where I'm up to. And then I did the letters. I brought the border down a bit, I did these letters, and then finished off this. This only has like 7 colours. Really enjoy working on this. It's gonna, I was hoping, I don't know why I was hoping, but I was thinking it was going to be a finish this year, and then realised very quickly in, I think it was March, that this was not going to be a finish anytime soon. Hoping next year or the beginning of the following year. And then for the last whip that I worked on is Outback Storm. So here is what it looks like. It's from Heaven and Earth, and the picture was taken by Jeff Pritchard. I did 1,627 stitches, and I got a page finished. I just need to take the bottom bit off. So I got a page finished. This is where it would have been roughly like down here. When I brought this chart, it was, Pattern Keeper wasn't around. This was, I started this in 2015. So I got the large chart so that I could see the symbols clearly, in hopes that I wouldn't miss as many. And then when Pattern Keeper started, my friend Megan, Stitching May, brought me the digital version, but because I hadn't started in large, she brought the large version, and I downloaded it to Pattern Keeper. So my pages are larger than, is it larger or smaller? My pages are different to a normal chart in Heaven and Earth. So look at that detail in the bushes. Super painful to stitch, but looks amazing. Looks very pixelated close up, but when you move it back, it looks amazing. So my goal on this is to get around 200 stitches, 2,000 stitches a month on it, with hopefully more, closer to 3,000, but I've never reached 3,000. So get a finish in roughly 10 to 12 years. So yeah, that's all my whips. Plans. My new 3, I didn't bring them with me, but my new 3-monthly whip is going to be And a Forest Grew. My monthly whip that I'm going to stitch on is Mermaids of the Pearl by Mirabilia. And then I'm actually stitching at the moment Sleeping Beauty by Joan Elliott. That's another one that I'm trying to stitch on every month to get a finish. So get back to my goals of stitching my monthly goals. So yeah, hopefully we get back into the swings. Now I didn't get any stash, unlike last time I did it. I had like, everything came in. But I did have in the next installment of my Schoolgirl Sewing Club from the Crewel Gobelin Needlecraft in Australia. I don't know if there's another box coming. I have enjoyed doing this. It's a mystery box on the chart you get. You get beautiful fabric, threads, and finishing to finish off a small. It comes beautifully wrapped. Now, to be honest, this is my least favorite out of the ones that I got, but I still like it enough that I will stitch it. And that was really loud. So this is the finishing, where you can finish off that little pattern. So it comes with the fabric to stitch it and all of the stuff, plus really good instructions on how to do it. And that little kit. So do we have a good photo? So this is the chart. I don't think you could do much with that, but I've got the proper chart here, but that's what it looks like. It is very alphabetically with a little picture on the bottom. So I said it's not my favorite, but I can see myself stitching it. So we got fabric, which is a Fox and Rabbit 36 count paper bark and a needle. It's a beautiful little neutral. And then we've got all the threads, which are Classic Colorworks on this very beautiful card. So yeah, really enjoyed getting these. I'm not sure if there's another one. I can't remember offhand if we were only getting 3 or 4 for the year. Either way, I've been really happy getting it. And that's it. That's all I've got in. Right, now for a bit of life update. Life's been busy. Everyone's life's been busy. Because it is cooler, or has been cooler, we're now heading into warmer temperatures. You know, you try to do more things outside, so I've been trying to do some gardening. As I said, like this is my 3rd year of trying to get a garden started, and we hit summer, and our summers are anywhere between 45 to 50 degrees Celsius on a regular basis. So I've lost like 95% of any of the plants that I planted during the year in summer. So I talked to a whole bunch of oldies in town, and they suggested potting mix hay to try and protect the plant's roots. So that's what I've been doing. I might even put some pictures in here. And if this works, then I'll use the same technique to create, because I don't have there's no garden here. There was weeds. No one really, people lived in the house, but the garden, no one gardened. That's really what it comes down to. Lack of water, time, energy, not the house, all those things. In between that, I've been doing bushwalks in our bush on the farm that has a lot of wildflowers. So put maybe some photos in here. And then, when was it? In September, I think it was, beginning of September. I had a friend come out who's very knowledgeable of garden, and another lady that's very knowledgeable. I invited them out to go for a walk so that I could get them to name me the bushes and what's weeds and what's not. And funny enough, what I thought was a weed was actually a nice little native creeper ground covering. So there you go. I am very much learning. Anyway, this lady, you know, gets really excited. She takes some photos of all these flowers. She just loves taking photos of bushes. She is an amazingly lovely lady with heaps of knowledge. And then she starts talking about this trigger plant that she hasn't seen before and needed to look into it. And then she came back and said, hey, I think this is a rare trigger plant. I'm like, okay. And she wanted to talk to this lady who is a trigger plant expert in WA to come send photos and see what she thinks. And she was like, oh yeah, this is rare. It's not like, I don't think it's endangered. I could be wrong. It hadn't at this point been discovered in our shire. It had been found in other shires, but not a lot. Anyway, the trigger lady, plant lady, lovely lady too. I don't want to give out names, so interesting words. Came out, confirmed it, took photos, took little plant, did a pinpoint to say that, hey, it's here. Taking it to the herbology place where they're recording it. Learned a lot about trigger plants. That in the 25 years that this lady's been doing it, we've gone from 100 known trigger plants to now up to 200. Some are very common, some are extremely rare, some are very endangered. So I learned some stuff. So yeah, in here I'll put a picture of this. It's a glistening, very long name, I can't pronounce it, but it's a glistening trigger plant. So yeah, that was interesting. When this came out, someone else was like, I've seen that at this national park. So it's now not the only one in our little town, which is awesome and not surprising. The amount of farmland and bushland that is probably not have been walked through by these people that can identify what something is quite high. I reckon this plant is actually more common in our area than people realise, but not knowing what they're looking for. And yeah, if you don't, I didn't know what this was. When we found this last year, when Sophie first stuck her head in a bush and found it, because they grow like this big and very low to the ground, obviously. Rocky areas, some out in the open, some underneath bushes. Sophie, when she first found these, were in a bush. Like we didn't know what they were. Took forever for someone to go, oh, these are a trigger plant, but that's all they said. They didn't go, oh, this looks different. So yeah, so somewhere in an herbology centre in Perth, there will be the trigger plant lady's name, the lady that helped, found it, first queried it, I should say, her name, my name, as co-founders of this trigger plant on our farm. And Sophie's name is also going to be written in as someone who originally took photos. So yeah, pretty exciting. Or not exciting. I think everyone else was more excited than me, because I was like, oh, there's a lot of bush on people's farmland, and if they don't walk it, or you don't walk it, then you don't know what's there. But I learnt a lot. I learnt a lot of bush names for the plants that we have up there. A lot of beautiful flowering trees and bushes. It was all really good. On top of all that, I went down south for my dad's 80th birthday party. I might put some photos in here, I might not. And that was really good to catch up with my sister and my best friend and some other people who I haven't seen, and it was cold. So that was nice. It was really good. It's a long trip down. It's about an 8-hour drive, and Iona drove some of the way because she's on her L's and needs hours up, and she did an amazing job. It was quite busy because it was also a public holiday and school holidays, so busy. And yeah, that was really nice, catching up with family. During the last week of school, Michaela had country week for netball, so the school sent a team to Perth to compete with other kids, and she did amazing. Michaela's going through lots of growth spurts and has lots of pain in her knees and ankles, and the team they sent was 7, which is what you've got to play with in netball. If you don't know what netball is, because I know it's not in every country, it's a sport that's very popular in Australia, where there's 3 quarters and there's rules on where you can go on the court, who can go where, and when you've got the ball, you've got to stop dead and then pass the ball around and then shoot it in a goal, and then it goes back into the center. YouTube it is my best guess if you want to see a bit more about it. So she played, was it up to 4 games a day, 3 to 4 games a day, full court time because I did not have anyone on bench. She did amazing, came home exhausted, but did absolutely amazing. And the teachers were really impressed with her netball skills. William is William. He's enjoying not being at school and really big into Star Wars. But yeah, he's doing his own little thing and as happy as everything. Sophie is still in Scotland, like I said. She quit her job end of August, and most of September has been travelling around the top half of Scotland, or the central bit of Scotland, with her bestie, and they're having a great time. Brought a tent to do some, camping in caravan parks and such, and realised that their tent is not waterproof, and they got very, very wet. So tenting is not their thing. But yeah, they're having a great time. It is getting colder over there. We're getting hotter. We're like 30 something today. They're heading into winter, so it is getting colder. They are looking at trying to get jobs to get them through winter, and then maybe do Europe next year. So I don't know when Sophie's going to come home, whenever she is ready. And that's it. We're heading into harvest. We have just cut and baled hay. We cut our own hay and bale our own hay. So hubby's been really busy. We're looking at mid-October, as I'm looking at the calendar, for harvest to start, depending on when the crops turn. And yeah, they are turning, but they're not ready to be harvested. So we're heading into a really busy season. Yeah, and that's it. That's all I got. Nothing really exciting. Hopefully, I've got a week left of not being at work. Get everything organised so I'm not as busy on the weekends and less stressed, less tired. That would be nice. I hope everyone is going well. I hope you're having a great day and enjoying stitching or whatever you're doing. And I'll be back soon. See ya. Happy stitching.